Welcome to another episode of Pump the Brakes. I'm Eric, joined with Blake, who's
Hello,
doing
hello.
some deep reading. Today's episode, we are going to do a little recap on the college football weekend. Good week for some, not so good for others.
Great. Great.
Um, do you want to just hop right into the LSU Florida State game, or do you want to ease our way into that?
No, we can just get down to it and get it on over with, and just get right in it.
All right. Well, I'm gonna tee this up, and we kind of said this. The best time to react to a game like that is not immediately.
Right.
Everyone's in their feels.
I was.
So take a day, sleep on it, let everything sink in. My biggest takeaway is that game was much more about how good Florida State actually is, opposed to how bad LSU looked.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, there are two drives like inside the 10-yard line in the first half from it being a blowout.
Yeah.
And then they kind of
I
fell
think.
apart.
I think after taking a day off and cooling down and realizing the sky's not falling for LSU, everything's going to be okay. Florida State was better at every position group. There's not one place you could point to on the field and say LSU was better. Florida State was better. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Their O line was better. Their D line was certainly better.
Certainly.
It doesn't take much. They were certainly better. Linebacker. I mean, they were better everywhere. Special teams. They were better everywhere. With that being said, LSU kind of low key dominated the first half. People understand that. We get inside the 2 and can't score on 4 plays. We get back to the 13 and can't convert a 4th and 1. We can't catch some simple passes. I mean, LSU's a couple breaks away from being up 31-14. They stopped. I didn't even realize this until I went back and cooled down and I watched part of the game again. We stopped Florida State in the first half 4 times in a row. I had no idea. I mean, just read the first half stats. You would have thought this was flip-flop. LSU had 16 first downs. Florida State had 9. LSU had 293 yards. Florida State had 213.
And this is just in the first half.
It's just the first half. Both teams had a turnover and time of possession was pretty much equal. LSU just did not do the little things correctly, which Brian Kelly actually talked about on the field before the game, that they had to do the little things, and they didn't. And that is what surprised me the most. When I look at something like that and I see the red zone blunders, the 4th and 1 blunders, we still can't catch a fucking punt. Just don't put anybody back there. For the love of God, stop putting somebody back there.
This is 4 years running.
Yes, that's a sign of a poorly coached team, and I know Brian Kelly is not a poor coach. So that was the first half. The second half, it's 17-17, and Kyron Lacey drops a slant, a 3-yard slant where he could have run for 190 yards. It was his 15th drop of the night. The guy never needs to see the field again. His drops last year against A&M cost us a game. All of a sudden, LSU scores there, goes with 24-17. It's a different game, right? But They didn't. Florida State, to their credit, got the ball back and just put on a mauling. And then LSU down 24-17 to start the 4th, throws a pick, and they quit. Florida State went to that 2-back set and just did whatever the hell they felt like. And I think Florida State's a shoe-in for the playoff. This game gives them a mulligan. They can lose a game now because the ACC does just the top 2 in the conference, not divisions anymore. So even if I know Clemson looked horrible, but they are still Clemson.
Well, all right. I'm going to piggyback though. Are they Clemson? Like, is Clemson even a thing, or do they just have Deshaun Watson and then Trevor Lawrence? And
yeah, that's a fair question. I mean,
like, is Dabo this coaching genius, right, or did he just have like 2 of the best college quarterbacks?
That's a fair question, and that's going to be I think Florida State comes to town week 4. I think it's soon. I'm saying it's not like in 2 months. That's going to be like a program check for Clemson.
Yeah,
like when are you at? But I did see some stats from that game too. Clemson kind of suffered from some of the same stuff LSU did. Clemson actually ran for 200 yards and threw for 200 yards. It's the first time in the history of Clemson that they've run for over 200 on both and lost. They were 108-0. They were 58-0 under Dabo Swinney when they do that. So just goes back to the little things, man. LSU is, and I think maybe Clemson may be the same way, but LSU's not talented enough yet to be able to, not get 4th and 1s and not catch passes and, have all these dumb special teams mistakes,
Especially against a team like Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, after what I watched, Sunday, I don't see how you don't put Florida State number 1, given Georgia's questions at quarterback, everything they've replaced. I mean, what I saw was the best team in the country. That's the best D-line LSU will play this year. Their receiving core is unbelievable. By the way, I said LSU dropped some passes. If Johnny Wilson from Florida State catches some passes in the first half, it could have been, a even 30 half or something. He dropped 3 or 4 easy ones. But like I said, they were just better than LSU, period. I mean, they really were. And the fact that the game was as close as it was to the fourth quarter is, honestly, looking back, kind of surprising because it got ugly in the fourth quarter. LSU just packed it in, and it got ugly.
Yeah, so you wouldn't think this LSU team coached by Brian Kelly, you don't want to say that they quit, but you would think a Brian Kelly team wouldn't just quit in the fourth quarter. But God damn,
I think that's
exactly what it looked like.
That was my biggest disappointment from Sunday was the coaching. I just never saw it with Brian Kelly. I mean, he kind of talked about it in his press conference today, getting the edge back, getting the mentality. I see a video of a Florida State guy today doing a press conference saying number 70, who's Miles Frazier, the right guard, who got his ass whipped all night, by the way. He told the Florida State defensive line, man, y'all got a good defensive front. The dude from Florida State was like, now I know I got your ass. Like, you can't tell us that. What are you doing?
Literally.
And what, I want a lineman. He needs to be mean. Bite his fucking knees off like Dan Campbell says. You're out there saying, oh, y'all got a really good – what the fuck? He needs to be on the bench immediately. Slide Emory Jones to guard, which is his natural position, and put in Hurd, the 5-star recruit from last year, and let's just get on with it, right? Let's play these young guys. If this Miles Frazier, a transfer, by the way, from FIU, is going to say some shit like that, get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah, that's not something – you don't want your
line
to be lovable.
For sure. Yeah.
I want him to be like Jeremy Shockey, hitting people.
It's disappointing. It was a disappointing loss. 4 years in a row, lost the opener. But I always said year 3 was it. Year 3 is when I want to see the step. I think LSU fans right now are being just completely irrational, which I would expect from the fan base. Fan is short for fanatic, after all. But I mean, LSU's ahead of schedule. Brian Kelly won the SEC West when he inherited a team that had literally 31 scholarship players. We played a wide receiver at quarterback in a bowl game the year before he got there. I mean, that's how bad the roster was. So now if we're year 3, right, and we're having these same problems, okay, now the red flags went up the bowl.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Brian Kelly's got the track record and pedigree to give the dude some damn time.
Yeah. So I'm going to piggyback off of your irrational fan. This certainly isn't on Jaden Daniels. Now,
right.
I made a couple comments. I thought him being number 2 in Heisman odds was kind of that's putting a lot of pressure on him. I don't think he's there yet. I don't think he's the second best player in the country. But I certainly didn't mean this loss is on him.
Right.
There's a lot of people irrationally saying that, they can't win with him. The loss is on him, but that's certainly not the case.
Yeah, that's insane to me. Everybody's like, he can't throw down the field. He can't throw down Did you see a receiver fucking open ever running down the field? Because they'll usually throw up the replay and they'll have the guy with his hand up and try to make the quarterback look like that. Receiving core is just not very good. The guys they're playing, I want to see Chris Hilton play. I want to see Shelton Sampson play. Put these young guys in. I don't need to see Kieran Lacy play another damn game of LSU football. I've seen enough. Dude's not. Look, maybe the greatest kid in the world. He's not cut out to play SEC football. That's why he was at ULL, right? Daniels can't throw down the field. Granted, Daniels made some bad passes. The ball he threw to Brian Thomas when Brian Thomas was wide open was not a good throw.
No.
He threw a couple to Neighbors that people were saying were bad passes, but to me, it looked more like just a miscommunication between the two guys. There was one time where Neighbors wanted it up top. He threw it in the wrong spot. And then one time Daniels thought he was going to hitch and go, and he overthrew it. I mean, that was like I said, because that goes back to coaching, right? It's like the guys didn't put in the time in the offseason to get on the same page. They didn't have, Joe Burrow out there running 7-on-7 or just running routes, just making sure that we're all on the same page, our timing's right. Remember before the 2019 year in the summer, it was the summer of 10,000 catches off the jugs machine for the wide receivers.
Yeah.
If Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson can go out there in the summer heat, as good as those fucking guys were, and catch 10,000 balls off a jugs machine, you bet your sweet fucking ass Lacey ought to be out there, or Thomas, or Neighbors, or whoever, right? If those guys can do it, they can drag their asses out there too.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, just one other thing, because people coming at Jaden Daniels is crazy to me. The second biggest disappointment aside from coaching was our offensive line. They're supposed to be a strength of the team. They did not look like a strength to me at all.
No,
which if we didn't have Jaden Daniels, we may have not been able to run the ball at all. So,
well, it's funny you say that because Daniels had 15 rush attempts, and everybody else combined had 12.
Yeah,
so they really couldn't run the ball at all. It's like
a lot of his runs were design runs. They weren't him scrambling or getting out of the pocket. But you look at his stats. Hell, we dropped 8-9 balls. So what do you want the guy to do? He can't throw it and catch it.
No,
so, anybody blaming Jaden Daniels? The worst part of the game, obviously, was LSU's secondary. They're I don't know what the fix is there. I do think that Jordan Travis, while he is probably one of the best players in the country, is a bad matchup for LSU, because LSU, to negate that secondary, is going to have to get pressure. And Jordan Travis can certainly move in the pocket. He can get away from the pressure. And how they use Harold Perkins just cannot continue to happen. It was just –
well, it didn't even look like they were attempting to use him at all.
True. If he wasn't spying, he was running out in zone coverage, and that's like Brian Kelly talked about in his press conference today. Well, we have to look at what Harold can do for LSU, but what LSU can do for Harold in the draft. And it's like, dude, have you not watched the draft in the last 5 years? Harold Perkins gains 30 pounds or 20 pounds and continues to be an edge rusher. He's more valuable than he is at middle linebacker.
Yeah.
What do you mean? So I don't know. That was a little alarming, but I did see something where Greg McElroy had said in August before the game, because he was high on LSU all summer, and he kind of backed down because one of the things he was hearing from camp was that LSU didn't know how to use Harold Perkins. They weren't using him how, they used him last year, really, just kind of go out there and do your thing. And it's almost like Florida State gets a free pass 2 years in a row because he didn't play last year. And it's like, did he play this year? Not really. I don't want my best player sitting in the middle of the field spying. Like, Jordan Travis is not even really a running quarterback. I think he ran for like 300 yards last year. So he's not even like really a running quarterback,
Yeah. So, all right. Now that we got a game underneath our belts, what is the expectation for LSU going forward this year?
Well, look, you look at the schedule. You can pull it up. I think I almost know it off the top of my head. But LSU's going to be favored in every game that they play until Alabama. So what's the expectation? I don't know. They kind of, you get Grambling. That's a win. Should win at Mississippi State. Should beat Arkansas at home. Ole Miss on the road might be a tough game, but you should win that game. You should beat Missouri and Auburn. So then you're looking at you're 7-1 at Alabama, or you got to beat Army too. And then you're 7-1 at Alabama, and everything once again is right in front of you. So while it sucked, because to me, there's two things about playing these marquee games like this, right? There's some people that don't like to play them just because you may lose. But the value is now you're Florida State, you have a mulligan, right? You go out, screw up, you can always fall unless LSU. That's preference. Unless LSU goes 4-8 or something like that, then you can't really say anything about that win. But LSU even goes 9-3, 8-4, whatever, you can kind of lean back on that game and say, well, look, we have this mulligan here. We still won the ACC championship 12-1, whatever. They'll be in the playoff. So what I would like to see LSU do is start play Grambling before you play Florida State. Play Nicholls before you play USC next year. Get a warm-up game. Get the guy. I know it's it's just Grambling, it's just Nicholls, but it's game action. It's live speed. It's playing against somebody else, putting the pads on. It's Saturday night under the lights.
Yeah, and not only does that do stuff for the players, that helps the coaches too.
Yes, right. See what guys can do, because Kyron Lacey dropping passes didn't have nothing to do with who the opponent was.
No, yeah.
That's just him not being able to catch a football,
Yeah. Now, I will say, of course, based on how we expect this season to go, losing to Florida State, that's going to be one of the best losses there is. So I don't really think there's a downside to playing these games in the opening week.
Right.
I do agree. It should be game 2, not game 1.
The downside is it does put some pressure on you now. You don't have another slip up on the schedule if your goal is to make the playoff.
But next year, when half of the fucking country is going to make the playoff, what's the downside?
And that's also to say, one loss. I mean, if LSU's a 2-loss SEC champion, they'd probably still get in the playoffs. So
if you're 2 losses, well, I guess
Florida State and I don't know, Ole Miss. Because if you lose to Bama, you're probably not going to get in because they're probably
right. Exactly.
So, or if it's Florida State and A&M, something like that, you still have a chance. But look, the sky's not falling. It felt like it Sunday night. And it really felt like it because that second half was just an ass kicking. I mean, there's no other way to describe that second half. It was a beating of epic proportions. It was 31-0 at one point. So
I mean, it'll take the wind out of your sails. We were so excited for months for that game, specifically, and then
it kind of felt in the first half we were living a little bit on borrowed time. You can't keep. I talk about this in the NFL, and it's very important there. You can't keep going down there to the 10, the 5, and not scoring.
Yeah.
You got to score. And my main frustration with Brian Kelly is, what are we doing on 4th and 1 in 2023 snapping the ball in the shotgun? If you're a coach and you have not picked up the phone and called the Philadelphia Eagles or said, give me the tape, I'm watching the tape, I got the tape, and running that play on every 4th and 1 or every 3rd and 1, you're a fucking moron. That play is so effective. The NFL almost made it illegal this offseason.
I don't know
why they almost banned the fucking play and probably will next year.
I don't know why they didn't, honestly.
What are you doing? Why? What are you doing? Snap the ball, push. It's unstoppable. Florida State did it. It cannot be. There's no way to stop it.
I can't wait for the first time. I don't know if you remember this, but I'm pretty sure Peyton Manning was playing the Raiders. And it was inside the 5-yard line. He thought he was going to do a QB sneak, and he just did a bootleg and rolled out and scored. Yeah. I can't wait for the first time a team does that. They get ready to just run it up the gut and then just.
But there's nothing you can do to stop. I mean, Philadelphia, would they go 37 for 37 last year? It was some insane number. It can't be stopped. And yet we're lining up in the shotgun, snapping it 5 yards backwards to go an inch. Well, we know we're getting our ass whipped on the line. The running backs are not very good. The strength of the offense is the running quarterback. And it's put him under center and push him. Works every time.
And honestly, and I don't mean this literally, but surely you can average 2.5 yards a play doing that. Just do it every time.
It's unstoppable. There's nothing you can do to stop it. Like I said, the Eagles proved that last year. It's so effective. The NFL Competition Committee looked at the play and damn near made it illegal, and I think they probably will after this year.
Yeah, well, hopefully they do it after the Eagles hoist the Lombardi Trophy. Do you want to talk about the rise of Colorado and Coach Prime?
I mean, the rise, whatever. I think Nebraska's going to beat them this week. Look, I mean, what are you going to say? What are you going to say? I mean, Coach Prime is one thing. You watch Colorado, and I watched a couple of Jackson State games last year. They're disciplined. They'll make a lot of mistakes. And Shadur Sanders is good, man. Now everybody wants to get on the high horse. But, they beat TCU. TCU returned 3 starters from
That
that
is
team.
not the same TCU
So
team.
that's not even close. But tip your cap to Colorado because where we say LSU didn't play hard and didn't play with an edge, those guys certainly did.
Yeah.
They played with a lot of pride. And Travis Hunter is the best player in college football. I don't give a shit about Caleb Williams. Travis Hunter is the best player in college football. The dude, I've never seen. Of course, like granted, I wasn't old enough to watch Charles Woodson, like I watch Travis Hunter now, but I've never really seen anything like what he did the other day. And he really should have had 2 more touchdowns. He dropped one that he kind of dove for and fell on, and then he had another one that got called back. So, and the interception he made was unfucking real. That was an NFL play. Like, I mean, the guy, he's unbelievable.
I'm gonna botch this stat that I briefly saw on Twitter because right when you log on to the app, sometimes it just refreshes. You can't actually see. So it was saying about how he's on pace to be the first player since 2002 to have 30 catches and 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
And that player in 2002, which this dude, I thought that he was going to be a stud. Chris Gamble.
Who?
Chris Gamble.
Oh,
from Ohio State? Yeah. Little two-way player.
I forgot Chris Gamble played.
Yeah, me too.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, dude, sky's the limit. If they let him play like they did the other day, which they're going to let him play 127 snaps in Dallas in fucking August or beginning of September when it's 100 degrees, like, I don't see why they wouldn't let him play in Colorado in November. So.
Yeah. I would assume if they end up being good or winning games, you're not going to make a stat count go to 100 when you're up by 25 in the fourth,
Right. Yeah, they'll play some blowouts.
So that may limit it, but just the fact 110 plus snaps, that's insane. That's ridiculous.
127 was the final tally.
And he didn't look tired at all.
Man said he could have kept going.
The things that would do to have that kind of energy.
I know he probably won't get drafted number 1 because some quarterback will, but like he's the best player in college football.
He's amazing. And Sanders looked good.
Sir Shedeur Sanders looked good. People forget Shedeur Sanders was a 4-star recruit. Like he's not some fucking slapdick from fucking
coach's son.
Yeah, like the dude was legit coming out of high school. So he's not like I say, not some run of the mill FCS guy that just showed up to play. Like the dude's fucking got the pedigree. He's a good player.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out Sonny Hampton. Iowa got a quarterback. They scored some touchdowns.
Yeah, Iowa scored.
That was nice to see. I do believe the game still went under, but I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, Iowa scored.
Yep, the game did go under. All right, wake up. Bet Iowa unders. That's still on.
They're back. It's back.
Tennessee. Everybody already knows this. I'm not as big on watching college football teams as I am watching individual players.
Yep.
Buddy, that pass that you showed me that Joe Milton made.
Oh, yeah. Joe Milton has an absolute silencer attached to his right arm. He threw that ball 73 air yards.
Didn't even run into it.
Yeah, he didn't crow hop or anything. It wasn't flat-footed, but it was as close to flat-footed as you can get without being flat-footed.
Literally.
He has got an absolute fucking cannon.
A cannon.
Like I don't know if I've ever seen an arm that strong. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree.
They play. Well, let's see. Week 3 is Florida, Tennessee, I believe. Yeah, September 16th. Florida will get their ass kicked that game.
They're not good.
Yeah, Florida football is done for probably 10 years. It depends with this NIL stuff, but they're bad. Billy Napier is a bad coach. How Florida end up hiring a guy from ULL, I'll never understand. And thank God our idiot fan base doesn't have influence because, he's from here. Well, I don't give a shit if he's fucking from Louisiana. The dude, Florida legit may be 3-7 in about 10, 11 weeks. And the heat's going to be on. It's like I was trying to tell one of our idiot Florida friends today, Stephen Lunch. Kids aren't committing to coaches these days. NIL has changed.
Oh, yeah.
That. Ain't some kid from fucking Tomball, Texas saying, I'm going to play for Billy Napier. Fuck Give me a break.
Yeah,
Florida's
no.
class is based on the fact Florida has money. University of Florida has money. They got a good donor base. So they're going to get good players. What is Billy Napier going to do with them? Probably not fucking much. And the lease will be
it definitely
fucking.
didn't seem like it in week 1.
Well, you think the lease was short before NIL? Think you've got, your boosters are spending, I don't know, $10, $20 million on this roster, and the dude can't win. You're going to run his ass out of town.
Oh, for sure. All right, we're gonna take a little break, do the back road read. I want to hit on the NIL stuff. I have questions.
Okay.
I have things I want to ask.
Today's episode is brought to you by the premier clothing brand choice for any outdoor enthusiast, Backroads Apparel. Whether you chase the migration, live life at full draw, or just enjoy going to the camp to crack cold ones with friends and family, Backroads has a design that fits your lifestyle. Represent the brand that prides themselves on being authentic and original. Head over to backroadsapparel.com and grab your gear today. Be sure to use promo code PTB during checkout to receive 10% off of your entire order. Again, that's backroadsapparel.com, promo code PTB.
All right. Before we get into the NIL, is there anything else you want to hit on from week 1?
SEC West is as wide open as I think I've ever seen it. If you're Ole Miss and you're looking to sneak up and win the one West title you win every 35 years, like this is the year. I don't think Alabama is as good as Alabama usually is. They don't really have a quarterback. Auburn was impressive. Hugh Freeze is going to win games. Hugh Freeze is a good coach. He's going to put a good product on the field. I'm not a believer in A&M and Jimbo Fisher, but that is what it is. So, whereas the East is probably Georgia. I mean, maybe Tennessee can nip them, but probably Georgia after South Carolina looked like shit. The West, it's usually Bama's to lose, and I think it's a little open. Bama lost it last year to a 10-4 LSU team, and I could see something like that happening again from the West. So that was kind of my biggest takeaway. Other than that, sky's not falling in Baton Rouge. If it's year 3 and we're having the same conversation after the first game, then I'm going to be panicking.
Yeah. So to hit on that, it does seem like not even just in the SEC West. It seems like now more than at least the last 6 or 7 years, college football is wide open.
Well, yeah. So that's what NIL is going to do, right? Who can spend more money than Oregon? They have Phil Knight.
Yeah.
He's worth, $30 billion. So it's going to bring, where Oregon's a playoff doormat or a Cotton Bowl team or, a good, decent program but never able to take the next step. Buddy, it's bringing your Tennessees of the world back. I saw Tennessee the other day has the highest NIL valuation of any college in America.
Jesus.
It was Tennessee. I think it was Tennessee, Oregon, A&M. I have to pull up the list, but I mean, who was? You would never guess who was number 10 if I gave you 1,000 guesses.
Number 10?
West Virginia.
Jeez. How?
Yeah, I have no idea. But that's what you don't know what donor base has or what college has a big donor base. LSU was a little bit behind getting its collective together. Didn't get it established till this January, so I hate we're behind the 8 ball on that. That's not good. But I mean, look at Florida State. Look what they did in the transfer portal. They went and got guys. They paid them. Like, that is what it is now. And it's going to bring these teams that have the resources. Your Texases, your Oregons, your Oklahoma State's got big money. A&M, Florida State, Florida. It's going to bring these guys. Tennessee. It's going to bring them back to prominence.
Yeah. So when this and obviously these players were getting money somehow before the NIL. I initially thought that the rich were just going to get richer, and this wasn't going to help those middle tier teams. But so far, I think that is not correct. Because
also the portal has changed a lot of that too.
Yeah.
You look at your 2024 rankings now. It's kind of the usual guys: Georgia, Ohio State, but then Florida. Florida hasn't had a top 5 class, I'd venture to guess, 10 years. A&M's up there, Florida State, Tennessee, Michigan, and you got LSU. Kind of like your who's who of recruiting. Usually Alabama's at 5-4, but NIL has really opened it up for some other teams. I mean, look at 2025. Oregon's number 4. Arizona State's number 8. It's a different world now. Just get the money. Like I said, nobody's committing because LSU's put 20 DBs in the league.
Right.
Kids don't care. What can LSU do for me financially and my family financially? You go look at the University of Missouri now. The Missouri State Legislature passed a law that says if you commit to the University of Missouri, you can start withdrawing your NIL payments in high school.
Jesus.
So what states are going to follow that and go do that? Where does this thing end? It's crazy. It's wild. But me, I love it. I'm an anarchist at heart. So I'm for the kids making as much money as fucking possible because these coaches have been doing it for 30 years.
Oh, God, if not longer.
People can miss me with the whole, it's ruining college. Fuck off. I want the kids to make as much money as they possibly can. It's fair. It's fair to them.
Yeah, I got no problem with it. Just give Reggie Bush his Heisman back. That's all I ask. That's all I ask.
I agree. That's a sham, but that's a whole nother conversation.
You want to get into it? We can.
Mason Smith is suspended for the first game of the year for autographing cards in like 2021. What are we doing?
Yeah, that's
what are we doing? Come on. So
yeah, that's absurd. Well, this was pretty quick. There was some breaking news today in the NFL world. Travis Kelce with a hyperextended knee.
Yeah.
He's probably not going to miss a ton of time, if any at all. But that offense without Kelce, we're really trying to nickel and dime what Mahomes can do here.
They still got Superman. Till somebody takes off Superman's cape, I don't care.
I agree.
Got out there.
It does make that week 1 line a little more enticing.
Well, you've already missed the value because it dropped to 5, I saw. So if you didn't get it at 7, you better just either take the Chiefs or lay off.
I saw it I thought it opened at 6, but
it got all I know. It got to 7 because it was 6.5 yesterday.
Jesus. Well,
So yeah, I mean, me personally, that would just be a pass. But look, if you think Mahomes is the dude that we think he is, fuck it, take the Chiefs. Maybe you get a discount on the money line. They're probably like minus 250 or something.
See, I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment.
Lions aren't walking into Arrowhead and beating the Chiefs on opening night. This Lions hype has gotten fucking out of control.
I know, I love them.
My God. They are not the second coming in the NFC. Like, good God, I hope they get boat race all year.
Yeah, but listen, like, it's the NFC. Like, they might. If they end up as the 2 seed in the NFC, that's not going to be insane.
They're not going to end up as a 2 seed. You know who else might win that conference? Fucking Green Bay. I mean, that division Green Bay. Like,
you're right.
The Lions are not that good, Lord. I hope they lose by 30 on Thursday. I really do.
All right. Speaking of Thursday, we are going to get back into our recording routine.
Yep. Football's back.
Our Thursday show will preview. Is it pouring out? Am I hearing something?
It's finally raining.
It is a monsoon.
Good.
No wonder that Wi-Fi icon came up.
Oh, boy.
Thursday, our show is going to preview the Thursday night game. We will preview the college football and NFL slate. Monday.
Will we go live?
Well, so Sunday, we'll do that Thursday. Sunday, we'll do like a 15 to 20 minute live episode. Just to go over the, dot our I's, cross our T's, just to make sure nothing happened from Thursday.
A Sunday Q&A.
Yes. And Monday, we will basically just recap what happened from the weekend. And I guess we'll bring back the mailbag.
Okay. Yeah,
surely we can get some new eyes on here, some questions.
surely.
I did send out the link for the DraftKings DFS contest. $5. It'll be every week. Winner take all. The winner can, come on the podcast, give us a little explanation on who they picked, why they picked them, what values they saw. Maybe even donate back to the Pump the Brakes podcast. Yeah, I don't really have much more. Subscribe, rate, review.
There you go. Subscribe, rate, review.
I can't believe how hard it's raining.
Good.
My poor Jeep is just getting pummeled outside.
R.I.P.
Oh, well, I'm good. Are you good?
Yep, I'm out.
All right. We will do this again on Monday.